we move to the reason why we are all here this evening, I am particularly delighted to introduce the Sutherland Leadership Award. The Sutherland Leadership Award was established to honour Peter Sutherland's legacy. And Peter, as we all know, was an extraordinary person, extraordinary leader, an outstanding Irishman, a devout European. And in fact, Peter was a man who perfected the balance of being a patriot and a global citizen at the same time. Can I ask you, in that context, to welcome the Sutherland family who are here this evening, who have been incredibly supportive of this programme. In 2018, with the support of Peter's family, we established the Sutherland Leadership Award in Peter's honour, and have since recognised some outstanding leaders, including José Manuel Barroso, Mario Draghi, Hank Paulson, Ursula von der Leyen, on behalf of the European Union, and last year, Dame Louise Richardson. And tonight, I'm delighted that we will continue the tradition of recognising outstanding leadership with a very special recipient. Growing up, Nancy Pelosi was the only daughter in a family of 5 brothers, watching her father, Thomas, serve in his community in Congress, and her mother work as an organiser for the Democratic Party. And for Nancy Pelosi, this would shape the backbone of her core values and a moral compass that would guide her on a journey as an activist, a politician, and a transformational leader. As a mother, raising her own 5 children in San Francisco, she taught her children the principles of hard work, empathy, perseverance. Over backgammon and cards, she would tell the children, first you need to learn how to play the game, and then you need to learn how to win the game. I think Jacqueline would reinforce that. Indeed, this creed would also be the ethos for a political career in which she would change attitudes, lives, livelihoods, and the political landscape, particularly for women, moving from homemaker to Speaker of the House. Irish poet Evan Boland once described the plight of women as being outside history. But through her political and public life, Nancy Pelosi transcended traditional boundaries and became part of history. In Ireland's early days of independence and democracy, Constance Markievicz was a catalyst for change in Ireland. As a politician, a revolutionary, a patriot, campaigning for women's rights and progressive future, and becoming the first woman to be elected to the Westminster Parliament. In the United States, Nancy Pelosi was herself a catalyst for new gutsy ideas, fresh thinking, and lasting change. Across healthcare, women's rights, economic opportunity, and climate change, she placed her hand on the arc of history and turned it towards a more positive and progressive future. In finding her voice, she helped other women find theirs. And her legacy is seen in the constantly rising numbers of female legislators in Congress and the landmark legislation she has passed throughout her career. But her greatest legacy is her 5 grown-up children, and grandchildren, including Liam, Sean, and Ryan, who can look at their mother and grandmother and see a trailblazer who, through her career of service, has made an impact that would make Peter Sutherland a very proud man tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, to present the Sutherland Leadership Award, can you please welcome an outstanding leader, an outstanding patriot, and an outstanding global citizen, Hiroch Enda Kenny.
Good morning, Fáilte Rover Fahad, Speaker Emerita, Ministers, Ambassadors, former Taoiseach, former everybody else and future everybody else. It's all been said. In the village where I grew up at home, a brother and sister lived in the same house, and she used to do the driving. And if you met the brother in the local town on a Saturday, he wouldn't say any news. He would say, "Did you see our Nancy?" So you mightn't have much kindred here with your grandchildren in County Wicklow, but believe me, you've got a lot of supporters in this country, Nancy. I think the historians will write the legacy of Speaker Emerita Nancy Pelosi. Obviously, she has left and is leaving an exceptional legacy for the people of the United States and the world. My job here this evening is to introduce the Speaker Emerita, but also to present the Sutherland Award for Leadership. I might say I had the privilege of working with Peter Sutherland when he was Attorney General here in Ireland, an extraordinary man of extraordinary ability, the youngest ever European Commissioner appointed, and the person with an extraordinary vision and capacity to bring the United States and Europe together in the Uruguay round of the General Agreement on Trade and Tariffs, and after 15 years to bring down the gavel on that round of talks, which spawned globalization for so many years afterwards. Well, Nancy Pelosi, Speaker Emerita, when she assumed the gavel of Speaker of the House of Representatives, the second most powerful person in the world, she wielded that gavel in the interests of the people of the United States, in the interests of our common humanity and of people all over the world. And as she said there in one of those clips, it's all about the children and all about the future. And the Affordable Care Act, which went through under her direction with able assistance from then Vice President Joe Biden, actually assisted 30 million Americans who never had that quality of health care in their own country. So what she did after COVID in putting together a fund of $2 trillion, the highest ever in the United States, speaks for itself of the extent of recovery necessary and of her understanding of what it would take to sort that out. Her views on environmental conservation and combating climate change are second to none, followed again last week by the Biden administration in terms of protecting vast amounts of land in Alaska. In the area of economic policy, she was also a really staunch advocate for working families in the United States, and she played a really pivotal role in passing the Recovery Act a number of years ago. Obviously, her legislative achievements go beyond just the domestic area. She was interested in foreign policy, national security, and as Speaker on 2 occasions, she always worked to protect democracy and has warned repeatedly of the dangers of autocracy creeping into various locations around the world. She wanted to strengthen diplomatic relations with other countries. Speaking to her down there, I recall the speech of President Kennedy in respect of peace in our time, and not just peace in our time, but peace for all time, and what rational people can actually do with decisive, clear leadership and generating support in the interests of our common humanity. She's been a vocal advocate all her life for civil rights, for social justice throughout her career. She championed legislation to protect LGBT rights, to promote gender equality and fairness for all. And in addition, her legislative achievements and her political prowess and her strategic leadership have solidified her as one of the outstanding politicians of any generation, rising to the very top in the United States in the House of Congress. I would say that, leadership is a peculiar set of qualities, and as you move through life, you meet many people of the spectrum of human nature. Some make a big mark for various reasons, and in that context, Speaker Emerita Pelosi broke every glass ceiling. Because I'll tell you, She understands politics like few others. I recall a group of young people on a WHIP program in Washington, one of whom was our own daughter a number of years ago. And the most senior person who called to see them from politics was Nancy Pelosi. She didn't just put her head around the door and say hi. She sat down, she spoke to those young people, she encouraged them to understand current affairs, she inspired some of them to be interested in politics from there on. She came here to Ireland in 2019, and she didn't just go to Belfast in terms of Brexit and the Good Friday Agreement. She went to see the border areas. She wanted to understand. She wanted to see at first hand what actually was happening there. She went to Taiwan when everybody said she shouldn't, to send a message to China. She put together a 2 trillion restoration fund, as I've indicated. So I have to say, personally, any time that I had the privilege of going to the United States and was in Washington, either in Congress or in the Oval Office, says he, or anywhere else in Washington, Speaker Pelosi made herself available to meet the Irish. She had a real love of this country, of its people, and of its standing. And I recall too, on many occasions, in the Irish ambassador's residence on St. Patrick's Night, when Speaker Pelosi listened to timid people at the early part of the evening who had become very loquacious by 12 o'clock at night, and she was still there. She understood what power is. She understands how to use power. She understands that with the right circumstances, the right clarity of decision, that can be of immeasurable benefit to millions of people. And that's why I am personally so proud of you, Speaker Emerita Nancy Pelosi, our Nancy, for what you've done, for what you do, for the wonderful example that you have shown to people all over the world who may have an interest in current affairs and politics. You, above all others, stand out, as President Biden said, as probably being the best speaker of all time in the United States Congress. It's a massive achievement, and we understand just how much you love this country. And for that reason, it's my privilege, Ian, and the invitation to be here to introduce Speaker Emerita Nancy Pelosi, to present to her the Sutherland Award. It couldn't be given to anybody more remarkable or with more merit than your recipient this evening. But I ask you to rise in your seats and recognize Speaker Emerita Nancy Pelosi.
What an honor. Good evening, everyone. Let me place a time marker on this. This is an evening that we were trying to achieve for a while, but because we had some uncertainty in the Congress of the United States, we could not do it until we passed the legislation to send assistance to Ukraine. We did that on Saturday, late in the day, and I got on the plane and came here. And it is such an honor to be here with each and every one of you. Thank you very much, Ian Hyland and former Taoiseach Enda Kenny, for your introductions. I should just go home right now after those introductions, and for your leadership in building bridges between Ireland and the global community. I want to thank President Orla Feely and Deputy President Colin Scott of the University College Dublin. As you know, a globally respected academic institution molding the minds of future leaders and entrepreneurs. They gave me an honorary degree today, so you can call me doctor. As I said, I received the honorary degree and the James Joyce Award. Now, why would I get the James Joyce Award? I'm not an actress or a poet or whatever. I concluded that I could get that because I didn't act, but I did act upon many of the beautiful thoughts that came our way. We're honored to be here with the members of the Sutherland family. Ian and other members of the family have been acknowledged. I want to thank and acknowledge them again, helping keep Peter Sutherland's legacy alive with the partnership of Seamus Hand. Thank you, Seamus, for your kind words earlier, for your great leadership. I also want to acknowledge another Taoiseach who is here, Bertie Ahern. Where are you, Bertie? Give us a wave. And thank him for his commitment to public service. I have a special personal thrill, too, and that was that John Hume's son and his wife are here with us today. John Hume meant so much to me. John Hume and Pat. So it's an honor for me to return to Ireland both officially and personally. Officially, as a citizen of Ireland's unwavering ally, partner, and friend, the United States, we in the States take great pride in our Irish-American relationship. Since America's earliest days, the Irish have been patriots for our country. Irish fought for us in our war for independence and joined Lincoln's army to help preserve the Union. For decades, Irish workers built our canals, ports, and railroads. The Sisters of Mercy came to Dublin to heal our sick and educate our children. And today, we take great pride in our magnificent Irish President of the United States, Joe Biden. And at the same time, I'm thrilled to be here personally because of my family's proud Irish heritage. And while I don't have Irish grandparents, I do have 3 Irish grandchildren, Liam, Sean, and Ryan. Is that Irish enough for you? They were baptized in Kilquade Church in County Wicklow, and today the Taoiseach told me that that's the same church he was married in, so that's a wonderful coincidence. And the Taoiseach's brother is here tonight, too. My son-in-law, Michael Keneally, his family lives in Wicklow, and my daughter, Jacqueline and Michael, are here with us this evening. Jacqueline and Michael, stand up so I can take great pride in you. So proud. So we have this. I have some Irish bona fides, and I just want to establish that. So it's with great immense admiration for the people of Ireland and the reverence for the Irish-American Alliance that I proudly accept the Peter Sutherland Award tonight. It's such an honor to receive an award named for such a distinguished and respected leader. The name Peter Sutherland is synonymous with unifying leadership. He believed in fairness under the law without fear or favor, offering his nation a steady hand while serving as Attorney General during the height of the Troubles. As Ireland's European Commissioner, he worked to bind the economies of Europe together in a single market that would create wealth across the continent and into workers' homes, believing, as John F. Kennedy always said, a rising tide lifts all boats. And Mr. Sutherland made his mission to deepen the cultural ties among nations, taking pride in establishing the Erasmus program, which stands as a pillar of European integration through educational exchange. And Taoiseach ended. He said to me that there like 26 million people had participated in the Erasmus program, something so remarkable. Peter Sutherland's shifting vision, one of peace and prosperity for Ireland and for all lives, lives today. And it's one of the underpinnings of one of the greatest diplomatic achievements of the 20th century, the Good Friday Agreement. When the accounts were signed 26 years ago this month, the world witnessed the birth of a new peace one only some had ever dared to dream of. And thank you for mentioning George Mitchell and Bill Clinton earlier, who participated so much. With the signing of these historic accords, Northern Ireland and the Irish Republic ended centuries of conflict, a triumph of peace over warfare, understanding over animosity, hope over despair, and what a difference the agreement has made. In the late 1990s, I joined a congressional delegation to Northern Ireland. Taking a northbound train from Wicklow, where we had had a baptism of one of our grandchildren, to Belfast, I bore witness to the jaw-dropping beauty of the Emerald Isle. It was such a beautiful ride. But as I approached the border, I saw tanks and troops, Union Jack flags, and barbed wire. It was really kind of frightening in some ways. No offense to the Union Jack, but the barbed wire and the rest. I understand that our British ambassador is here this evening. Is he still with us? And we're so honored that he is here. Well, our ambassador is here, Claire Cronin, ambassador from the United States, of whom we are very, very proud. In the course of the last few days of so many events, you've heard me say, many of you have heard me say, she's very special to us, very special to the president. She has the president's ear, and she has the president's respect. Thank you, Madam Ambassador, for your leadership. A personal sign of his love for Ireland. But back to Stormont. In Stormont, my colleagues and I saw one of the members, our members, nearly come to blows with someone who would later engage in the process for peace. It was rough. It was stunning, but it was very divided. When I say stunning, I don't mean stunningly beautiful. I mean stunningly, oh my gosh. 20 years later, when our congressional delegation, as the Taoiseach mentioned, visited, instead of tanks and troops and barbed wire, we only saw a different color line, yellow or white, between the two countries, a seamless border. You suggested we go to the border, as you recall. Richie Neal was our leader, too, on that trip. Richie, we walked arm in arm with Pat Hume across the historic Peace Bridge in Derry. She was my girlfriend. That meant a great deal to me, to be with Pat. And she was such a partner to John Hume. They were really a team. So that's why I'm so honored his family is here tonight. We visited the Stormont Parliament and saw the stunning reconciliation sculpture, a powerful monument to peace. And we met with school children, both Protestants and Catholics, who professed that they had never known the Troubles, the bloody conflict, and they made it clear, we will not go back. This is from the mouths of almost babes, but at least teenagers in high school. In that spirit, and to protect that order, on the same visit, I had the honor of addressing the Dáil and to reaffirm America's ironclad commitment to the Good Friday Agreement. That's really in our DNA as Americans. These kids that we saw in Belfast, their generation was the first freed from the shackles of conflict. They are the inheritors of peace, and it is a peace we must jealously protect. Today, there is a conflict between democracy and autocracy, imperiling freedom, security, and peace around the world, including Putin's invasion of Ukraine, which is an assault on autonomy and sovereignty and the rule of law, the Chinese Party's litany of human rights, including the suppression in Hong Kong, the genocide of Uyghurs, and suppression of culture in Tibet, and aggression against Taiwan. Iran's support of terrorist organizations in the region, enabling the horrifying Hamas attack on Israel, which has incited a heartbreaking humanitarian crisis in Gaza. And that's one of the other things we did with the legislation, to provide billions of dollars of humanitarian assistance to the Palestinians in Gaza. This was very important to us. But this has to end. As I say, I'm pleased that we gather, the Congress is sending to President Biden's desk a legislative package that addresses urgent global priorities, again, including the assistance to Ukraine. Make no mistake, history teaches us that a threat to democracy anywhere is a threat to democracy everywhere. But know this, hope remains democracy's most powerful weapon against oppression, against cynicism, and against despair. The Irish know this well. Ireland's story is the story of hope, how with courage, faith, and determination, a brighter future can be built. And as Joe Biden has always says, and said most recently on his visit here, the Irish are the only people in the world who are nostalgic for the future. And it is a future that we can build together. Hope and history rhyme, you know that, and the Spirit led us to recall the immortal words of Seamus Heaney, they've corrected me, which we can recite together. History says, don't hope on this side of the grave, but then once in a lifetime, the longed-for tidal wave of justice can rise up, and hope and history rhyme. In this generation, this generation's defining moment, it is our sacred duty, each and every one of us, to join that tidal wave of justice and to make hope and history rhyme. Not just here in Ireland, but all over the world. Ireland has been a model of the power of hope, a model that people could follow. So again, I'm grateful for this Peter Sutherland Award. And by the way, I was supposed to receive this the end of last year, but it's today, and 2 days from now is Peter Sutherland's birthday. So happy birthday to Peter Sutherland, April 26th. I feel very pleased that this high honor, which I will treasure forever, display with great pride in my capital office. And with all of that, I want to be grateful to all of you for your role in the peace process, in your role in protecting democracy in Ukraine and therefore in Europe, in your role advocating for humanitarian justice in Gaza, in your role in putting forth a policy of human rights that are respected around the world, your role in establishing a model in the Good Friday Accords that can help other people learn how to make and keep the peace. In that spirit, God bless the Irish and God bless America. Thank you so much for this wonderful honor.